How does oxygen reach our cells and how does carbon dioxide leave them? To understand this, let's look at the overall picture first. The oxygen enters the body through the oral and/or the nasal cavity. Then it moves to the pharynx and then to the larynx. Remember, air to the larynx and food to the esophagus. From the larynx, it goes to the trachea, which splits into two bronchi. From the two bronchi, it enters the bronchioles, which are within the lungs. And then they reach the alveoli, which are the tiny air sacs at the end of the bronchioles. Around the alveoli, we have this network of capillaries which transport the oxygen to the heart. And the heart is responsible for transporting the oxygen to the different parts of the body. So the oxygen goes from the heart to the tissues to the cells. The carbon dioxide takes the same path back up and is exhaled out of the body through the nose or the mouth. You'd be surprised to know that there are over 300 million alveoli in our lungs. Each of them is around 200 microns in diameter. Yes, each one is that tiny. About 1/5 of a millimeter. It's so tiny that I can't even draw it on the whiteboard. To give you an idea, an average human cell is around 10 microns in diameter. And we all know how tiny a human cell is. So what's the purpose of these alveoli? Their main purpose is allowing the exchange of gases. The oxygen from the alveoli enters the bloodstream and the carbon dioxide from the bloodstream enters the alveoli and is exhaled out of the system. But another important thing that they do is that they increase the total surface area within the lungs. The surface area where the oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged is massively increased. If all the alveoli in your lungs were spread out flat, they would cover the area of a tennis court, around 75 square meters. If your lungs were simply two large balloon-like structures, the surface area wouldn't be big enough for you to get enough oxygen for your cells. For instance, these 8 small spheres with radius 1 have the same total volume as the one larger sphere with radius 2, but they have 4 times the total surface area. So coming back to the main point, how does the gas exchange occur? This is how the actual figure of the alveoli looks. There is a network of capillaries surrounding each alveolus. But let's draw a very simple diagram to understand how gas exchange by diffusion happens. Say this is one alveolus, and around it we have a blood capillary which carries the red blood cells. Remember, there are many capillaries surrounding the alveoli. This diagram is just for representation purposes. So the oxygen from the alveolus diffuses into the blood and the carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses into the alveoli. You can see that as the blood rich in carbon dioxide arrives, it's not red in color. And when it gets oxygen rich, it turns red. So the deoxygenated blood arrives, gets oxygenated and goes to the heart from where it gets circulated around the body. That's the process of gas exchange in cellular respiration. Oxygen reaches our cells, carbon dioxide and water are released as waste products, and energy is released.